Hi and welcome to another episode. Well, today was a really hot and shitty day, so I thought I'd just watch some stuff on YouTube, and I found myself pretty much just chilling out most of the day, which is good because we all need some downtime. And I was watching reruns of the late Queen's life, and I've watched all these before, but I don't know about you guys, but I really miss her. And when I miss her, I often watch things about her, videos about her and her family life before she became Queen, her time in the war, and, just up until her funeral. And I have to say that I cannot right now tell you how much I absolutely loathe Harry and Meghan even more than I do right now. Because it's not just their absolute disrespect that they've caused the royal family and the late Queen and the late Prince Philip. It's Harry who I'm really, really loathing right now. Because he was the one raised in this family. He was the one that the Queen, when Diana died, that the Queen just went into grandmother mode and grabbed those two children and wrapped her arms around them and took them away and tried to protect them and shield them from what she knew was going to come. But she didn't anticipate it to be as big as it became after Diana's death. But she absolutely adored those boys. And he has gone and just stuck a knife in her back. I just can't get my head around how he disrespected them so terrible. How could he ever live with himself knowing that he hurt them so much? Like the late Queen and Prince Philip is who I'm particularly speaking about. Having a grandmother, forget about her being royal, but having a grandmother of that age and going through all the decades that she went through and all the knowledge and the things that she taught them, and just the encyclopedia of information that she would have had in her mind and what she could have shared with them to teach them about life. Like, you should really respect and honour the elderly in your life. Like treat them with treat them with so much love and respect and very gently, because they are so worthy. Once they're gone, that's it. That encyclopedia is done. I mean, I know with the Queen, obviously, there's a lot out there and the history's always going to be out there. But I just can't understand why he turned so terribly towards his grandmother. I absolutely loathe him. I know hate's a harsh word, but I'm getting very, very close to hating the pair of them, because it's just very, very disgusting what he's done. And it's like, I have followed them, like I said, for over 40 years. And there's reasons behind that. My dad was in World War II. He met the Queen when she was a princess. He later on then went to meet the Queen when she did become Queen. And I just had this fascination with them. I had, like a lot of us have this fascination with the way they live, their fashion, the dramas of the royal family, all that kind of stuff. But I'm just baffled. Harry used to be one of my favourites, because I figured he was a little bit more like Princess Margaret, the Queen's sister, where he was a little bit cheeky. He liked to have a drink. He was, funny. He was a bit freer than the rest of them, in personality-wise, I'm meaning. And I liked him. But in the last, say, 6-7 years, I absolutely loathe him. He's turned out to be a disgusting human being. He clearly had this personality prior and was covering it up, or the royal family was covering it up quite well, because you can't just flip like that. There's got to be something behind it. Yes, he says self-confessed drug user, and he's traumatized from Princess Diana's death. But to do what he's done to the late Queen and to sit across from her when she was burying her husband of so many years and just kind of stare at her and know how much pain she was in, and knowing at that time that she was slowly herself dying of bone cancer. How do you do that? How do you become so evil? See, I'm always interested in the why and the how when people do stuff, and I just can't understand how he could have done that. Like, he gave an interview, I can't recall who it was with, but he gave an interview, and when they had said, something about the passing of his late grandmother, he said, well, she was of age. He brushed it off like it was nothing. She had a good life. She was of age. Basically, he was saying, the way I took it in my interpretation, was he was saying, oh, well, she was 96, it was going to happen sooner rather than later. And I thought, you disrespectful little pompous prick. That was your grandmother. Your grandmother that absolutely adored you, and you've just washed your hands of her like she was nothing. He really should have put his foot down with Meghan. It's his fault. Yes, Meghan is Queen Slapper, and I loathe her as much as I loathe him, but he was the one that should have put his foot down. He was the one that was being completely disrespectful to his family. He knew the law. He knew the procedures and protocols. He knew the policies that they have and how they, have to behave in public, etc. And he allowed for her to do it just because he was in love. It's disgusting. Like, even rewatching her funeral today, and, of course I shed a tear. I really miss her. I miss her, her Christmas messages, seeing her out and about in her, colourful clothes, just seeing her beautiful little smile and her cheeky little way that she would say things to people, and how she was always interested in the person she was speaking to. It wasn't about her. She was making about the other person when they were having a conversation. There's never ever going to be anyone like her ever again. It's a part of history it's gone. It's gone. We were really lucky to have her. We were really lucky to live in an era where we witnessed such a wonderful person on the throne. I mean, I like King Charles. When he ascended the throne, he went with a lot of baggage, didn't he? He went with most of the world still blaming him for Princess Diana's death and his wife being not very popular, and his son and daughter-in-law with everything that they've carried on and done. He went with that ton of baggage. So he's in a really tough position. Yes, he has to put his country first. I agree with that. But he is a father, and he's going to do things a little bit different than his mother did, of course. Everyone's got their own way of doing things, I suspect, in their job role. But I feel sorry for him, because when he became king, he had a lot of baggage behind him. You still have people shouting out, "Not my king," and, nasty things about Queen Camilla. And he's damned if he does, and he's damned if he doesn't, because if he does take the titles, he's going to have half the people going, "You're an arsehole for doing that because you're his father." And if he doesn't take the titles, he's got the other half going, "Well, you're an arsehole because you should be thinking about the country." So he's caught between a rock and a hard place. Whichever way he turns, it's just the way it is, unfortunately. But someone asked in the comments also, who is my favourite royal? And that is really, really hard. It was a good question, actually, because it got me thinking. Of course, the late Queen was. She was my ultimate. I like them all, so let's just put that out there, for different reasons, except obviously Dumb and Dumber. But I really like Princess Anne. I think she's great. I think she was absolutely stunning when she was older. Not that she's not attractive now, but wasn't she a stunner when she was younger? Like, absolutely gorgeous. And she's always pretty much had the same hairstyle. And I think in one of the interviews she said she does that hairstyle herself and her makeup. And it's always been the same. I like the way she's a straight shooter. She's a hard worker. She's got good work ethic. She says it as it is. She's not jealous of her brother, Charles. She's just, I like her. She's cool. And I think my second favourite would, let me think. I would have to say it is Sophie. I love Sophie. She's just another one that was, she was a commoner and came in, kept her head down and absolutely adored the Queen and Prince Philip. And, she's just put her head down and got on with the job and kind of stayed out of the limelight a lot. But when she's in the limelight, you can tell she's just got a beautiful aura. She seems gentle and kind. Of course, I like Prince William and Princess Catherine. But I think they're my two favourites, is Princess Anne and Sophie. I like them. I really do. I listened to Sarah Ferguson's podcast, something with tea. I forgot what it's called. I don't know. There's something about Sarah. I think as soon as she's gotten older, I think she's getting more likeable now that she's a grandmother and has gone through so many things. But of course she's got her skeletons in her closet like we all have. I mean, we're so judgy sometimes, aren't we? But we all have a past. Everybody's got a past. You've got a past. I've got a past. We've all got a past. But I don't mind Fergie. Like I said, I think as she's gotten older, she's getting a little bit more likeable. Her and Diana were very close friends. Apart, every magazine back in the day was like they hate each other and they're at each other's necks and etc., etc., etc. But she claims that they had a very, very good relationship, which is pretty cool. The York girls, I've never warmed to them for some reason. I don't dislike them at all, but I've just kind of never warmed to them. I've listened to a podcast of one of the daughters. I think it's Beatrice that has the podcast. I may be wrong. But kind of never warmed to them. But yeah, I like them all for different reasons. But right now, I can't tell you how much I loathe Harry and Meghan, and I'm sure many of you do. Just can't understand how cruel he was to poor late Queen and how heartbroken she would have been. And I wonder what she was thinking towards the end of her life. Was she thinking, what's going to happen to my country and the Commonwealth? Even up until hours before she was passing, and he's making a fuss about how him and Meghan are going to get there to say goodbye to the Queen. And of course, Meghan wasn't allowed to go, which is fair enough. They just want a close family there. But in turn of him carrying on and being an absolute arsehole that he is, other members of the family didn't get to say goodbye to her. How does he feel about that? When they do these interviews, people do these interviews with Harry and Meghan, these are the questions that need to be asked. These are the things that need to be asked. Like, you were told that Meghan wasn't allowed to go, or they didn't want Meghan to go. So why didn't you just hop on a plane and go? No, you had to hold up everyone else, so they missed out on the opportunity of saying their final goodbyes. Like, what an arsehole. What a complete freaking arsehole to do that to your family. And to do that with the late Queen. Who would have known what was going through her mind at the time? Leaving her family, and she missed out on saying goodbye to her other members of the family because of that little twat. God, I can't stand them. So another thing I just wanted to quickly talk about is Meghan's podcast that's coming out. Shall we have a guessing game on what her topics will be? Well, I think down below in the comments you should put your comments on what you think Meghan will talk about on her podcast. I'll give you a few of my thoughts. I definitely think there'll be digs to the royal family. For some reason, and I keep thinking about this, and I don't know if I've said it before or if I haven't, I think she's going to accuse Andrew of him trying to make advances towards her to try and shut the rumours down of the yacht girl stuff. And of course, we know that she tried to get it on with William. Well, there's stories out there that she tried to. You could see in the few photos the way she looked at him. It's quite disgusting, really. I don't think she'd say that, though, but I do think she's going to accuse Andrew of something. I don't know why, but it just keeps coming to me like if she did, that would kind of either bring that to the foreshore about her yachting days or try and put that away, put that to bed. Other subjects I think she'll talk about. I think she will talk about her father, because I feel like 2025 is the year that she wants to reclaim her image and get people to like her and pretend she's so nice and lovable and kind and, oh my God, woman of the world. I think she will touch on not wanting to not be in his life because she would want to be in his life, but it had to be. I don't know. I think she's going to say something about her father, because there's been, obviously, you've seen interviews with Tom Sr., and he's always going to be in the media, whether people like it or not. The three of them, Junior, Senior, and Samantha, are always going to be in the media. They're not going to be quiet, nor should they. And you all know how much flack I cop all the time for being friends with them. But anyhow, that's life. I think she will drop little hints here and there as she does about her children or her alleged children. I think she will say how difficult life was, again, in the royal family. She'll drop the old racist crap again just to refresh that, because the royal family's shining brighter more than ever now, with their sicknesses being, they're getting better with their illnesses. So, and they're just getting on with it and they're moving on with their lives. And I think she's just got to stick the knife in a little bit, because I feel like she's this witch in a dark room with a big pot and a stick, stirring her little juice of how can I get back at the royal family. Her stew, not her juice, or her jam. That's probably how she makes her jam, puts on her witch's hat and stirs it. God, I can't stand her. What subjects do you think she'll talk about? I mean, of course it's going to be all about her, Muriel. It's not going to be about anyone else but her and how hard done by she was. I don't think she's going to shine a light on anyone else and make them feel special. Let's not forget, she'll put out how hated she is and how she has had to deal with all the bullying she gets, and everything she does, she gets knocked down, but she gets back up again, like the song. She's a Fruit Loop. Psycho Sally strikes again. Let me know down in the comments what you think she'll talk about on her podcast. And as for Harry, I absolutely loathe him. He's a piece of shit for doing that to his grandparents. Absolute disgusting. Really miss the Queen, and I'm very grateful to have lived through an era where she was on the throne. Anyhow, take good care of yourselves. Keep smiling. Enjoy your day or evening. And we shall chat again soon. Bye for now.